going on, everybody? My name is Ace. This is Campfire Sports, and today we're going to be talking about the CBA proposal. I'm going to get some player reactions and then give my thoughts and opinions on the overall proposal as a whole. So let's get right into it.
I don't know why I feel like I've known you for a while.
So let's go ahead and get right into this CBA proposal. So I'm actually looking here at the CBA proposal fact sheet, which is a PDF. It's 3 pages long, and I would suggest everybody go take a look at it. It's a very good read. It covers most of the key topics of the proposal. It's very analytical. It covers a lot of like the fine details, things like wages, economics, hours, training camp, improvements to working conditions, benefit increases as far as active players, former players, rights, stuff like that. But what I want to talk about today in this video is I want to get to the 3 big topics. So obviously that would be the additional team to the playoffs, the 17-game season, and the loss of a preseason game. So let's go ahead and start at the bottom. To me, I feel like it could go both ways here. I feel like on one side, you have teams that feel like that 4th game is extremely important to them building out the rest of their team. But on the other side, I feel like you have teams that don't really need that 4th game. You get teams that they pretty much have their roster built by that 3rd game, by the end of that 3rd game, I would say. But the question becomes, what are teams that would like to have that 4th game going to do if it's taken away? Because it ends up being a toss of a coin. Now, teams that don't need it, let's say 5 years down the road, they flip that coin and it lands over here and they need it. What are we supposed to do then? Are we supposed to bring it back? So I feel like I'm at a loss here. I don't know what I should, I don't know where I should lie on the idea of taking away a preseason game. On one hand, I feel like it's irrelevant. I feel like, the majority of teams are pretty much set by that 3rd game. They've already figured out who the starters are. Most fans already kind of have an idea who's going to be the starter. So I'm at a loss in that regards. But at the same time, what do we really need that 4th game for at this point? Moving right on into the 17-game season, I kind of like it. Now, I do like the idea of potentially adding a 2nd bye week. I think that would be beneficial for a lot of teams. I mean, if you're going to add more football, you may as well add more rest. That's just common sense, especially with the, in my opinion, horrible planning involved in the bye weeks. I mean, the Buccaneers, for example, one time had their bye week in like week 12 or something like that. It was ridiculous. We played an exuberant amount of football. I mean, honestly, that poor planning involved in bye weeks is kind of what bothers me about the bye week. So if there was a way for us to have it so that either every team takes a bye week, let's say halfway through the season, that would be fair. You get to the halfway point in the season and everybody takes a bye week. Now, obviously that would suck as fans. We would have one whole week within the season where there's no football. But it's in my opinion, it's fair. Take everybody on the bye, or do half the teams take a bye on, let's see, week 7, and then half the teams on week 8. This way, we don't lose football, and it ends up being more fair, because the way it is right now, teams take byes left and right, and I get it. I understand the bye system, but it ends up being unfair, because let's say your team ends up being riddled more with injuries, and you'd prefer to have a bye here in the season versus here in the season. So that's where that's where I love the idea that the players are pitching more an additional bye week. In the sense of a 17-game season, in general, I love the idea. Personally, I mean, as a fan, you can't argue with the fact of more football. I mean, you really can't go wrong with another week of football. That's awesome. I don't like that they're saying that in week 17 there's a cap on how much money the players are going to be able to make for that specific game. However, if your contract allows you to make more money anyway, why does it matter that you can't make more than X number of money on that last game if you're going to make more on the games leading up to it? That's where I'm going to, pretty much end my discussion on that. I think it's silly that the players are fighting for something so, in my opinion, mundane. But I think that's just silly, because you're gonna make more money anyway. There's more games. It doesn't matter if you can't make top dollar on the final game. You're still gonna get paid what your contract says you're gonna make. So to complain about there being a cap on the 17th game, to me, is silly. But that's where I stand on the 17 games schedule. Moving right on into adding one team to the playoffs from each conference, Once again, great idea. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great idea. I don't see how it can go wrong. So the way I look at it is teams that are, they're not bad teams. They're just not always the best teams, or the cream of the crop, if you want to say. 9-7, 10-6 teams that sometimes don't make it, which is and to me it sucks. But the main thing that I enjoy about this is that it comes with the top team being the only team to get a bye, which I think is a brilliant idea. I think it makes sense that the absolute best team in each conference is the only team to get a bye, because there have been times where the second seed is an 11-5 team and the number one seed is a 14-2, sometimes even better than that. Typically, the top seed is at least 13-3. Is it fair that 11-5 has a bye week when just like 13-3? No, they're clearly a better team. Therefore, they should be the only team with that bye. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I love that. So that makes a lot of sense. And then I know, as far as the players are concerned, there are bonuses that they're adding on in order to make it beneficial. But I now want to briefly cover just some of the players' reactions to the CBA proposal. It seems like a lot of them seem to be mostly stuck on the cap that they're putting on the 17th game as far as being paid, and it seems to be holding them back. As I can tell just from what I've read, there's a lot more into this proposal than just the 17th game being capped at $250,000. But a lot of players, most of their reactions seem to be kind of clouded on that aspect. I'll put some of their reactions up here at the end, and you can read them for yourselves. I'm not going to comment on any of them. You can just see what they said. For the most part, that's where their hesitation seems to be aimed at. Most of them come from that tweet from, I believe, Tom Pelissero. So, that's basically it. Those are my thoughts and my opinions on the CBA proposal. I think overall it's a great idea, and I'm honestly excited to see what happens. Hopefully the players counter, because I generally speaking, I like the idea, and I do think that it's good for the players overall. Alrighty, guys, signing out.
You know what it is. Yeah. Let's see who's real. I was here for you, but you wasn't for me. I thought you were the one